Hello, my creative friends, and welcome to another episode of The Daily Prompt. This one is kind of a big one for me. Hopefully it's going to be for you as well. We're going to be looking today at the most powerful tool in storytelling. I know that's a big call. I believe that if you actually understand this tool and you start to apply this tool, it can take any story that you create and bump it up a notch and help you reach a higher level with your storytelling. I know that's a big call. To help you fully understand the tool, I need to set it up a little bit. I need to give you a bit of context and framework. And so I want to tell you a little bit about how I got to it, how I've been implementing it and using it, and why I didn't really want to make this episode. So this episode was one of those early episode ideas. This was originally supposed to be episode number 2. When I first conceived of this vlog and sort of giving you everything that I know and helping you understand all of storytelling and just brain dump, whether you join me in my thing or whether you just take it and go off and do your own thing. This was one of those episodes that was like, this is a powerful thing that's going to change the way that you think about storytelling. And I've been reluctant to do it. I ended up taking a slightly different path to revealing all the stuff over the past month. But the reality is, this understanding what I'm going to cover in this episode will also help you put this whole channel in context. Originally, the title that I was going to use for this episode, when it was going to be like episode number 2, was why I haven't been completely honest with you. Now, that was before I began doing all this vlogging. If you look at the older videos on this channel, if you look at what I've done previously here, there's a lot of really good stuff. There's a lot of really practical stuff. I stand behind every video here. I think there's good value in all of it. But some of the times it may look or feel like I'm holding something back. Like I'm not quite sharing everything with you. There's something I'm not giving you. And I think that from an audience standpoint, that may sort of look or be perceived as I'm withholding information. Either I don't know it, or there's like nothing special to be had here, or maybe it's in my screenwriting system, and so I'm waiting for you to like join and then I'll give you the good stuff. It's none of that. The reason that I have felt like I'm maybe holding back a little bit is because I didn't necessarily want to share this tool and the fact that I use this tool in what I do. So I'll try to clarify. I will clarify before this is done. I'm not stretching this out unnecessarily to add suspense or anything. I really do need you to understand the full context and framework. So one of the great challenges that we have is all creative people, every creative venture that you ever set out to do, all of it literally requires that we take a bold leap of faith into the unknown. It is literally impossible to know what the outcome of a creative venture is going to be at the time you begin the journey. So you can have a goal, you can have a target, you can say, I want to make this movie, I want to finish it by this date, and go for it. You can do that, but really that's the fuel, that's the driver, that's the thing that's going to push you forward and get you to take action to actually do and achieve that thing. But the reality is, you have no way of knowing if you get to the finish line if you succeed. You have no way of knowing if it's going to work in reality the way that it did in your head. You really have no idea. All creative action is a leap of faith. All of it is stepping into the darkness, literally every single day, going, I hope I'm going the right direction. I hope I'm getting to what the ultimate outcome should be, right? Because of that, because of the fact that that is a requirement for creative people, I wanted to make sure that you learned that you understood that became a part of your experience. And so I designed that into the system that I built. So in the system that I built, you go one step per day, you do full immersion in each step, but you don't know what's coming. You don't know. You have the 7 fate. You have the overview, but you don't know. I never even told people how many steps there are in the system, because I don't want you to know how many steps are coming, because I wanted you to continuously take that leap of faith each day into the unknown, not knowing exactly where you're going, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. Because if you consistently do that, if you consistently take action in that way, you train yourself to become comfortable in that. You develop the skill of actually moving forward without having that clear, we know it's going to succeed at the end of it. And because literally that's a requirement for doing anything creatively, because of that, I wanted to make sure that was built into the system so that you would experience it. Here's the thing about story. And I'm going to bring this all back to the most powerful tool in storytelling. To understand the most powerful tool in storytelling, we have to understand what the point and the purpose of story itself is. So many writers have the idea for their story, their movie, their character, that cool scene, whatever it might be, that they get excited about, they want to write this thing. They have that idea in their head, and it's all about them telling this. It's all about them putting this out there, right? The reality of story, however, is that it's not just about you putting your stuff out there. What it's really about is the audience experiencing it and going along for the ride. The reality is the effectiveness of your story, whether your story works or not, whether you get a deal or not, whether you can make this actually happen or not, is less about you and more about the audience. Do they get it? Do they like it? Are they engaged with it? Are they pulled into it? Are they enjoying the experience of it? Now bringing it back to the most powerful tool of storytelling, what is the most powerful moment in a story? Well, the most powerful moment is what's known as an epiphany. An epiphany is this moment where the penny drops, the pieces slot together, and you go, wow. And if you're invested in the story, if you're invested in the experience and the journey and the ride that the writer has taken you on, then when that penny drops, it becomes visceral. It becomes a physical experience that you have. It becomes, wow. They call it an aha moment. The reason they call it an aha moment is because that is a spontaneous vocal reaction to what you're witnessing or what you're experiencing or what your brain is piecing together in that moment. So the point is that if you're as the storyteller, you want to be designing those epiphany moments. So how do we design those epiphany moments? We do it through something called the reveal. The reveal is the most powerful storytelling tool. It just is. Because by revealing your story, by revealing the moment, by revealing the experience, by revealing that piece of information that makes that penny drop and gives the audience that experiential epiphany, that's what gives them that visceral reaction to your work. That's what gives them the response to your story. So what I like to say is, rather than thinking of it as storytelling, think of what you do as story revealing. If you take nothing else away from this vlog but that simple idea, rather than trying to figure out how to tell your story, think about how to reveal your story. If that's all you do, if that's all you get from me, you can literally take mediocre writing and bring it up a notch. Literally 50% or more of the submissions that I have read are all about storytelling. It's all about, here's what happens, here's what happens, here's what happens. It's not giving the audience, it's not engaging the audience by revealing information so that we become we become invested in that story. And then when the final pieces come together, we say, wow, that was extraordinary. That was fantastic. Now, the reason I talked about the system itself is to help you understand the nature of the reveal and why it's so important and why it's not just important in storytelling. Let me back up a second. Let me give you an example of sort of the quintessential reveal in film history. The quintessential reveal in film history happens in Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. It's that iconic moment that we all know that has become sort of folklore, which is, Luke, I am your father. That is a reveal, okay? The first movie of Star Wars was about the good guys fighting the bad guys. For the second movie to be an escalation of the good guys versus the bad guys, and then a reveal to happen near the end of that movie of the bad guy is the good guy's father, suddenly it takes the whole story, gives it an entirely different dimension, an entirely different layer. It makes you rethink the first movie, right? So it's completely transformative. Now, if the audience is invested already in the story, if the audience is already invested in the journey of the characters and the experience of the action and all that stuff that's happening in the story, then when that reveal happens, it becomes visceral. It becomes it takes on a quality that transcends just the basic story. Now, it doesn't mean every little piece of your story has to be a reveal. Sometimes you can just tell the story. But overall, what you really want to do is structure your story in such a way that you're revealing the big insight, the big epiphany, the big surprise twist, the whatever it might be. You can do it on a macro level, you can do it on a micro level, you can do it from scene to scene, you can do it with character traits, all different aspects. To understand the reveal, here's the thing. When you watch a movie, you don't know what's going to happen at the end. If, as the viewer, you can predict what's going to happen at the end, it's going to change the way you experience the movie. This is the reason spoilers suck so much. Because somebody else watched the movie, they saw the surprise, they had that epiphany, that experience, and then they decided they wanted to share it with everybody else. And so you heard about what it was, and everything you're watching in the story is in the back of your mind. You know what the reveal is. If you've ever seen the movie The Sixth Sense, this was a movie that, I don't know why, it's a storytelling thing, but when I was watching it, I sort of went, by the way, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, skip the next, I don't know, minute or so. When he gets shot, and then the next movie is him on a bench, and there's no mention of this giant gaping hole in his stomach, my brain went, there was no ambulance scene, there was no him getting resuscitated scene, he must be dead. Most people didn't see that, and most people did what the filmmakers were intending to happen, which is that you thought it was a year later and he had healed somehow. I didn't know how that would be possible based on the gaping hole, but most people were along for the ride. And so they thought he was still alive. So when the reveal happens at the end that he's actually dead, it makes you rethink the whole movie. It makes you that reveal makes you reconsider everything you've just watched. Well, if, like me, you sort of thought that in the first place, then everything that you're watching along the way, you're interpreting from a different angle. You're interpreting it as he's dead, and you're seeing the people look past him and all that kind of stuff. In the movie, and by design, the way it was supposed to be, is at the end, the way most people experienced it, was that at the end, we realize that, and then we experience all of that from two different vantage points. Here's the thing. It's more fun if you didn't see it coming, right? It's more fun if it's a reveal. It's a more enjoyable experience. It's how we want to experience our movies. It's how we want to experience experiences. So, looking at this system that I designed to help you understand this principle, I I designed it in such a way that you don't know what's coming, so that once you discover these things, you have that epiphany. We reveal things along the way so that you have this sort of, it's not just understanding the idea, it's viscerally experiencing the idea. That's what makes this a part of you. That's what makes it stick for you. So the reason I'm a little hesitant, or I was a little hesitant to give away all this stuff on this show or on my channel previously, was because if I give you a little bit of that, then if you go through, you're not going to have the same experience, because you know what's coming, because you know what's going to happen. So I've never not been honest in that way. It's just felt that way because I've been withholding something, but I've been withholding something for the larger picture of giving you the experience of that thing, so that you don't just understand it intellectually, you get it viscerally. It becomes a part of your experience of life. Here's the thing. Human beings learn by doing. We don't just learn by absorbing more data. We don't just learn by intellectually. I talked early on in this series about the conscious focus and the creative subconscious that's happening in the background. We don't learn, we take in information with the conscious focus, but it really happens when it all snaps together. And part of it can all snap together if we're putting pieces into the creative subconscious, so that when we drop that final reveal into place, it snaps the picture together. It's no longer an intellectual exercise. It's no longer oh, that was a good story. Have you ever watched a movie and you walk away from the movie at the end and go, yeah, that was funny? Or, yeah, no, that was really good. I like that. There's a difference between that and like that was like people jumping out of their skin at how exciting that movie was or how funny it was. It's like reading a comedy screenplay and going, yeah, that's funny. Like, that's different to reading a comedy screenplay and not being able to stop actually laughing. This comedy screenplay that's going to sell is the one that has the reader actually laughing. It's not going to be the one where people say, oh, that's very funny. That one's not going to sell. Or if it does sell, it's not going to connect with an audience the same way. It's not visceral. It's not experiential. The reality of art, the reality of life, the reality of movies is they are experiential. It is important to understand the experience aspect of it. If you are writing a movie, if you're creating a story, you need to take your objective of what you're trying to say, and you need to convert that into an experience for the audience. You need to convert that into a journey that they take. You need to give them the ups and downs of the emotional roller coaster. You need to give them those epiphanies. And the way you do that is by figuring out which pieces to reveal at which point, so that when you do that final reveal, it gives them a visceral experience. So what I want you to do in today's daily prompt is I want you to look at whatever project you're working on now. I want you to think about whatever it is that if you're just starting out on a project. I want you to think about your project. If you've got a third draft already of something, look at that project and think about it from this standpoint of, am I telling this story or am I revealing the story? How can I perhaps adjust how the story is told so that I reveal the story, so that I give the audience the experience, so that this is a two-way street? So many writers think that it's all about taking your ideas, getting them on the page and putting them out there. And it's like there's a two-way mirror or something, and it's all very, here you go, put it out there, right? There's no thought about their actual experience. It's the experience that's going to determine whether or not they're changed, whether or not they see the point or the purpose of your story. It's the experience which is going to make the whole thing work or not work. There's a certain magic in storytelling. If you think about the best movies, whatever story points they hit, that's only part of it. What really makes something work or not work is if it connects, if it engages on that more visceral level, whether it's intellectually makes you go, whoa, that's, what a mind-bending scenario, or whether it's just the visceral action of something. We've seen so many action movies now that the specific action can only go so far. It's that other layer, that visceral layer that has to be included within it. And that comes largely through the reveal. That comes largely through designing it as a reveal. So we're not telegraphing what's coming. We're revealing pieces along the way so that we're putting a puzzle together for the audience. Now, bring it back to this just a little bit so to help you sort of fully understand me and my perspective and listening to me going forward. I want you to be a professional level storyteller, screenwriter, creative person. I want you to reach what your goals are. I firmly believe that the way you reach them is you have to learn by doing. You have to learn by experience. No amount of me telling you this stuff or giving you more technique or tips or detail or whatever, no amount of that is going to get you where you're trying to go. There's a reason why this is the daily prompt. It's designed to prompt you to take action each day. It's designed to get you to filter all of what I'm saying here through your own perspective and your own unique vantage point. And what does that do for you? Put that into action, make you physicalize that. And what happens is, in doing that, that's when it makes sense to you. That's when it becomes clear to you. It's not just about the idea or the information. It's only when you physicalize it. It's only when you make it real. It's only when it becomes visceral that it really sticks with you, that it becomes a part of you, that you're developing that skill, that you're developing that ability. It's my belief that to become a professional screenwriter, to develop stories at a professional level, you have to go through that process, but not mentally, not in overview. You have to go through it. You have to experience it. One of the things we do in the system is part of the requirement is that you have to record your experience. So each day you immerse into the exercise, the idea, the article, you do the exercise, you physicalize it, and then you actually record your experience. You don't tell people what you did in the exercise. You tell people what ideas or insights it gave you, how you felt about it. Were you resistant to it? Did you experience it? And the reason for that is if you record your experience each day, like a sort of daily diary kind of a thing. If you record your experience, what's going to happen is you'll be able to, when you get later on in the process, you get to the end of it, you'll be able to look back and you'll be able to see what your experience was. You'll be able to see what your experience was at the points in the process that it happened. You'll then be able to you'll be able to see that in a whole new way. When let's say your dialogue is weak or you get notes that your story is not quite working, you can look back at where in the process you were doing those things and you can see what your experience was. Was I really connecting to this stuff? Was I not connecting to this stuff? That's how you're going to capture your journey through it, by recording your experience. Everything in life is about the experience. We are here, I believe, to experience. That's it. That's why we're here. You want to know the meaning of life? I just told you. It's to experience our world. That's it. Experience it. Share what we experience with other people. That's the point of it. If you really reduce it, that's the point of it. So how in a story do we get the audience to experience it? We give them the visceral. We take the ideas and we make them tangible. We make them visceral. And we do that largely through the reveal. So for today's daily prompt, what I would ask you to do, look at your own project wherever you are. Figure out what you're trying to get at. Look at the whole thing and think, how can I reveal this? What are the steps that I would need to do to make this a reveal for the audience? If you can do that, if you can just, even if you don't know, even if you don't quite have the tools just yet, we'll get into some of this stuff later on as we go. But even if you don't quite have the tools yet, if you simply take a story that you have been telling or that you think you want to tell, and you instead interpret it as revealing that story, you're already going to be a step up, better than half the stuff that's out there. Trust me. I've read thousands of screenplays. I assure you, most people are storytelling. What you need to be doing is story revealing. That's going to absolutely be a game changer for you. Hopefully, from these examples that I've given you and sort of from this perspective, you have an understanding of why. But before we go, I want to close out with just this little reminder of what I talked about earlier in this episode, because it's so key and so many writers miss it. All creativity requires that we take a bold leap of faith into the unknown. It is impossible to know what the outcome is going to be on any creative venture at the start. It's impossible to know. You can fill all the blanks and have it all scientifically, perfectly mapped out. And if I do my beat sheet and I do my 3 acts and I make this, and on paper, it's perfect. And you can put it out there in the world and it can drop like a lead balloon just because it just didn't work for whatever reason. At the end of the day, that is possible. That's always going to be possible. So the reveal that I had in the system that I'm now a little bit disappointed that you're not going to ever fully get to the same degree is that taking that bold leap of faith into the unknown is a skill. It's an ability that you need to develop. And the way you develop it is by taking action every single day. Keep moving forward. Keep progressing through the experience. Learn that whole process. Actually do that whole process. Make it real, make it visceral, make it a part of you. If you have any questions, pop them into the comments below. If you're not subscribed yet, click subscribe, click the bell to make sure that you get notified of what's coming up next. And don't just let this wash over you. This is really important. When you're done here, stop watching. Let it just sink in, ponder it, think about this stuff. Filter it through your own experience, and then please, please, please take action. It's really, on this especially, it's more important than ever. So take action. Have fun. Remember that the outcome doesn't matter. You can't predict it anyway. So just keep moving forward into that darkness, into that abyss. Get comfortable with that, and you will be able to get where you're trying to go. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.